I've been tagged in a lot of videos regarding people's opinion on the Liam Payne situation. Individuals believe that Liam Payne was forced into his room by either hotel staff or had some kind of an argument, and because he had his cap on as well as a bag, they believe that he was trying to escape from the room. People are saying that due to the bruising on Liam Payne's body that also makes it suspicious, and the residents next door to Liam Payne also heard a lot of shouting. So the assumption has been made that Liam Payne wasn't alone in the room at the time when the incident occurred. Now this will be my final video on it, as I wanted to give an analysis of what I think led up to that incident, as opposed to ignoring all of the other mitigating factors that have been going on for a long period of time during Liam Payne's life. Now, from what we're aware of, no one else was in the room when the incident took place regarding Liam Payne. Some people have claimed that there were two women in the room with Liam, but they'd already left and they've given a statement to the police, and not only that, when they did leave, they were demanding payment at the reception. That's what caught the attention of the receptionist to know that Liam was with those two individuals. Now, when it comes to the cap and the bag, Liam had only recently just been downstairs in the reception when he'd received an email that somewhat made his behaviour turn erratic, which is so far what sources are claiming. After receiving some type of email, his behaviour became very erratic. As we're aware, Liam was C&D'd by his previous partner, Maya Henry, regarding contact abuse. And she had stated in a podcast that he would try and message her, and if not, would then try and email her. Maya, his ex, had been quite public and vocal about the abuse that she felt like she received in their relationship. And at the time, Liam was trying to swerve that from the public eye. Liam went from the reception into his hotel room. Substances were found in Liam's room, and so far the initial toxicology report shows that he had substances in his system. So he could have gone from the reception to the hotel room, taken substances, and then had his behaviour become even more erratic. And the reason why people are hearing shouting is regarding the email that he'd received in the reception is what he was potentially trying to handle back in his hotel room. And as we're all aware, this led to major destruction, as we've all seen the pictures from inside of Liam's hotel room, in which the individual was smashing the place to bits. Then just moments after that, the incident occurs. Now, the bag to be worn is a bit of a strange one, but he could have literally only just come into his hotel room, tried to handle the situation, and just an outburst of emotions happened. And due to the substances that he was on, as well as a mounting pressure, his personal life, and depression, that's what led to an erratic decision at that moment in time. As we're all aware, balconies are quite a sturdy thing, and it does normally take the individual to hurl themselves over the balcony in order to achieve what it is that Liam achieved. Multiple individuals also believe that Liam Payne was locked inside of his room, but the hotel manager had rang the police, meaning that due to his disruptive behaviour, he probably would have been removed from the hotel anyway. So he wasn't exactly locked into that room necessarily, because once the police arrived, he probably would have been removed from the hotel anyway. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not here to change it, and everyone's opinion will be different on this subject matter dependent on how they're viewing it. Here's a slight analysis from my perspective into what potentially led to the incident that occurred. So here are a few items and areas that stood out to me in this case. Not long after One Direction formed, Liam began consuming excessive amounts of alcohol. And this led to Liam actually having 100 days of sobriety back in 2023. Now, although at points it actually became quite obvious about his alcohol consumption, it actually went completely uninterrupted. And he did at times manage to disguise this. But not only was it obvious, it was also deeply worrying to a lot of individuals that were around him. There were multiple bizarre incidences that Liam was involved in, like times when Liam would speak in public and you could see that something just wasn't right with him. Another item to note here is after One Direction broke up, Liam Payne became very lost. Now, Liam launched a solo career, but didn't necessarily have the success that he thought he would strive to get. And this wasn't a continuation of the One Direction level of fame for him. Then came the Logan Paul podcast, where Liam made some very grandiose and self-serving remarks. A podcast in which I feel like they never should have released, as it was clear from the outside that something was wrong. Because of the backlash online regarding the podcast, Liam came forward and made a video stating that at the time it was made, he was very angry and that he was looking outward instead of inward, addressing his anger. He also implied that he was worried about obscurity and scrambling to stay relevant in the public eye, which gives a sense here that Liam was trying to gain insight, which means that he was actually trying to figure out what was going on in his life. As at one point in Liam's career, he felt like he had far too many fans, even going on to talk about his anxiety when he was fearing to leave hotel rooms for the amount of fans that would be outside. But towards the end of Liam's life, he was actually searching for fans. It's almost like he would welcome the return to something that he feared before, which is also problematic when you grow up in very chaotic situations, because later in life, to give justification to certain chaos that you've been through, you will almost put yourself in a chaotic situation. And that's so the brain can almost self-soothe itself in believing that this is a normal situation as opposed to a chaotic one. Now, despite Liam not having a staggering solo career, he had still achieved mass fortune during his career, with a net worth alone of well over 40 million. Another item to take into account here is there were several stressors acting on Liam during the time of his final days. As we know, Liam was drinking as well as had substances in his system. In the days leading up to his death, Liam was dropped by his record label Universal Music. So to Liam, his career was literally imploding. Now, his former love interest Maya Henry had actually sent him a cease and desist. Liam and Maya had once been engaged, but they broke up in 2022. Now, allegedly, Liam made repeated attempts to contact Maya, which was something that Maya was not happy about. Then earlier in October, Maya actually indicated something on social media, stating that an unnamed former lover associated with One Direction fans had been harassing her, which is not too tough to figure out in whom she's referring to. She stated that ever since they broke up, he messaged her and blew up her phone, and that if she blocked the number, Liam would just message her on a completely different phone, simply meaning that Liam was either using his friend's phone or individuals around him to use their phones in order to contact Maya. Now, a woman who was in the hotel right before Liam died spoke to the media. She remained anonymous, so her credibility could be called into question, so take it with a pinch of salt. But she also had photographs to prove that she was in the same hotel as Liam at the time. So according to this unnamed woman, Liam was hanging around the hotel lobby with his laptop. There was also a claim that Liam was somewhat trying to get attention in the hotel lobby when he was reading email. The woman asked Liam if he was okay, and he responded by saying that I used to be in a boy band and that's why I'm so fucked up. And at one point when he was in an elevator, he spontaneously said, "Yes, I am Liam," even though at that point apparently no one had even addressed him. But that situation could also be interpreted differently through everyone else's mind's eye, because they might see things differently and not notice that there were individuals staring at him at that time. But the woman had the sense that Liam was somewhat kind of craving attention. So just taking some of these items into consideration, what do I actually think happened? Now obviously it's just my theory and opinion. Like many performers who obtain success in their career, Liam Payne was too young and was very underprepared. Liam didn't know how to process everything that was happening to him and around him. You have to imagine everything is like a whirlwind where he's competing in this competition one minute, then has extraordinary fame the next. Any underlying mental health concerns, insecurities, or other vulnerabilities that Liam possessed became amplified by the stress of fame, which also comes with the freedom of fortune, and Liam didn't want the party to stop. The breakup of One Direction signalled the end of his golden age. During his solo career, Liam struggled to actually compete with his former bandmates and felt himself becoming irrelevant. Liam was no longer in the spotlight, and alcohol was not the only thing that Liam was dependent on, as it would seem like Liam also needed attention. He was desperate to be recognised by members of the public. This would reinforce the idea to Liam that he was still relevant, important, and had a future. Without constant recognition and praise, Liam would become despondent. In the days leading up to Liam's death, he was alone, intoxicated on substances, had received bad news about his solo career and his personal life. Liam at the time could not bear the weight to all of these stresses and acted violently against items in his hotel room, essentially meaning that Liam at this point was actually throwing some kind of temper tantrum, as during his whole life and career Liam had been accustomed to getting his own way. As a celebrity, he could behave badly and largely avoid consequences. But this time, however, Liam was too rambunctious, animated, and impulsive. And due to the aggravating stresses, Liam launched himself over the balcony to his death. Now, it's possible that Liam did not fully understand what he was doing. But most of the time when an individual goes over the railing of a balcony, it's because they are trying to accomplish that goal. It's also worth considering, of course, that Liam's death was accidental. Maybe he was acting aggressively and violently throwing himself around the room as well as the balcony and somehow threw himself off the edge, but that one's highly doubtful. Now, people have spoken about him trying to climb out of the room to somewhat try and escape here, but I think with his behaviour being displayed in the room as highly aggressive, he would have gone to the door and fought the individuals at the door as opposed to then trying to climb out of the situation. But problematically, the only individual that can actually answer that question isn't here today to be able to actually answer it. And unfortunately, when it comes to whether he threw himself over the balcony or he fell, I don't actually think we'll ever know. One of the reasons why they think that he may have threw himself off the balcony is due to the fact that he didn't show defensive wounds. They believe that he maybe went unconscious as he fell, as the body didn't show any sign of response to the fall, as anyone that was falling would have put their arms out to try and protect themselves. But obviously the injuries that Liam displayed doesn't show that. Meaning that if he had, for example, fallen, he probably would have in the fall tried to protect himself with his arms, as if he slipped, the realization that he was falling would have had him try and somewhat defend himself. But from the information that they're giving, it seems that he went unconscious during the fall and hit the floor.